Hey, 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 everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Untying the Knot with Miranda and I. Hello, Miranda.
Hello, Katie. How are you?
Doing well, and welcome to our very special guest today, the fresh face, the amazing Erin McDonald. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I have to do my round of applause because, I just think it's so funny. This episode was filmed in front of a live studio audience, right? I remember that from back in the day. Totally doesn't pertain here, guys. Totally doesn't. But I like to play around with all these special little sounds that our program gives us. Anyway, that is not our topic of discussion. You guys know that here on this show, we talk about divorce, the divorce process. It may be you're thinking about it and just kind of navigating those thoughts and feelings right now. Maybe you're right in the thick of it and you're dealing with all the things and you're feeling the exhaust and the overwhelm. Maybe it's over and you're looking back and you're just, trying to figure out what the next chapter is and what life looks like now. And this is the show for you, no matter where you're at in that space. Miranda and I are here to help guide you through it all. So please, if you are finding value in this show, if you want Miranda and I to keep showing up like this and bringing on amazing guests like Erin, then please reach up in whatever platform you are watching or listening to this on. Just hit the subscribe or the follow button, because what that does is it sends us a big giant hug first and foremost. And Miranda and I love hugs. And it tells us, yes, please keep showing up. You guys do bring value. We appreciate this. And we'll just keep on keeping on, won't we, Miranda?
Everything she said.
Yes, we love seeing those subs. Well, today I feel like I just need to sort of sit back and watch these two have a conversation, because what they do goes absolutely hand in hand. We are talking about what often gets pushed aside during your divorce, and that's your health. We have Erin on with us here today, and she's a familiar face in the Mom Nation world. So if you have heard of her before, if you have seen her face, then no, you got enough sleep last night. You're not tripping. She's totally here with us. She is on our team, and she is one of the divorce defenders. She is going to share today how to take care of your body through fitness, through nutrition, how sleep can help you cope, right? Move forward during one of these hardest seasons of life. And Miranda, I'm going to turn this over to you for a hot minute, because again, I feel like what you guys do just goes hand in hand. And I'm sure with your clients, you talk a lot about health and fitness and sleep, right, Miranda? And I'm sure, Erin, you do the same thing and talk about some of the things that Miranda helps people with. So take it away, Miss Miranda. Do you have any questions for our gal?
Ooh, I do. A little opening statement is the importance of the mind, the body, and the soul balance. The importance of the alignment. Yeah. It is far too common for us to neglect one or all of those pieces. A, like maybe you go just the unhealthy route, or B, maybe you're going the healthy route, but you're hyper focused on taking care of yourself physically. You're hyper focused on your spiritual aspect. You're neglecting, what you're doing physically.
Yeah.
All of that can happen and does happen. And I've been through all of it. And it's something that I still have to work on daily to find that balance. So that is my opening disclaimer, is that I don't think anything is more important than anything else. I think we have to be really all encompassing in how we handle this process. However, in the midst of it, when it first starts, it's the emotions that really come up. It's traumas, it's past stuff. So I understand that's at the surface, but it's very hard to navigate those things, to process them, to deal with them, to release them, and then to move on if we are not adequately supporting ourselves, our body, our mind, our sleep is huge. I was always about working out and eating, but I never even really thought about sleep because it's just not something I had with 4 kids. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because there's so much that oh yeah, I'll take care of my body later. But it's not just about losing weight or it's the hormones, it's the support. So I want to open that up to you, Erin. What does that look, and I'm sure you concur, but what does that look like, that whole approach?
Yeah, good question. I think a lot of women approach wellness in body composition, right? We're talking about, just like you said, fat loss, muscle gain, but what we're really looking at is the overall picture of health. And it's so important for women specifically, and especially moms, because we all give of ourselves way more than we give to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we tend to overlook it for so long. And I'm 43. So when we get into our 40s and middle age, it's been so long since we've actually taken care of ourselves that we kind of forget that's even part of the puzzle. That's even part of the process. And you might think you are. Maybe you're getting a pedicure or you're getting a massage. But when we're talking about, you brought up sleep, it's such a huge one. There's a reason why sleep deprivation is torture. I mean, that will take a toll on your mind. It will take a toll on your body. It will take a toll on your nervous system. And there's so many facets to it. It's like just nourishing food. It doesn't have to necessarily be fat loss. That might be a byproduct of it. That could be something that just happens naturally, but taking care of our metabolic health. Women are more prone to autoimmune conditions because we bottle up stress. There's a lot of things that we don't think about. And I understand, especially in divorce, we're living in the moment. We're not thinking about 5, 10 years from now, but we kind of have to, because we're also you're navigating parenthood, you're navigating future relationships. And that version of you needs to show up as a whole and well individual. Most people come to me for fat loss, but they find out later that it really is just such a small piece of this overall puzzle. Mm-hmm. And we're navigating such a huge situation, a huge tragedy in our lives like divorce, it might not seem that important to think about losing the last 10 pounds or losing 20 pounds. And it's not, I would agree. But what is important is eliminating or lowering decision fatigue and taking care and nourishing your body so that you can make important decisions. Because, we're not eating, we're not sleeping, we're a lot more reactive. Hormones to be off. And so through this process, it's just stability. And again, the fat loss component may be a really welcomed byproduct of it. But if we're actually taking care of our bodies, our health, and it trickles down too. You have kids, they're making sure that they're, nourishing themselves. And they're going on walks with you, because kids are feeling the divorce process as well, right?
That's a whole other topic, 100%. But they can't, you have to model that. You have to embody all of that. And you hit something that I'm taking notes. That's why I'm looking over here, because I don't want to miss this stuff. You said the word deprivation. And one of the things that I think about often that I did, and you hear this right in culture, the divorce diet. Oh yeah. I lost 20 pounds in my first divorce after my husband cheated on me. I look good. But I felt horrible and I hated myself. So I think sometimes it's not just about what we're going to do to our bodies. It's what we're going to, help later, how we're going to support it later, is what we're taking away now, what we're depriving ourselves of. Like you said, if you're not eating enough, I think a lot of times we decrease our food, we increase our alcohol, and then we have this hormonal shitstorm, excuse my language, going on inside of us. And we think it's making us feel better. We think, oh, my clothes fit better. We think, oh, I could drown it away. But not only does that a temporary, but there's something deeper there. You said that you touched on autoimmune too, which traditionally is not traditionally, and scientifically is proven that women suppress. They don't get things out. They don't say things. They hold it in, and they do that normally just as women. And then through a divorce, it's compounded. Yeah. And so now we're just shoving more things down and shutting our bodies up and not listening to ourselves more. So that was a lot, but I wanted to hit on those things, because I think we're oh, well, I can work out later. Well, no. How are you supporting yourself now? And what ways are you working against yourself?
Yeah, it's really important to take note of that too, because we all react in different ways. Some may overeat, some may undereat, some are so and it's both are going to have negative consequences long term. And what you're describing, the alcohol, undereating, and being excited about being 20 pounds down, even though you feel horrible, is also dopamine addiction. Mm-hmm. And that's going to run out real fast.
Looking for something make me feel better.
Yeah.
My jeans.
That's giant, guys. I am sitting here thinking, okay, so back when I went through my divorce, things were a bit different in my life. Of course, I was in my early 30s. So things just seemed a little bit easier in your early 30s. You know what I mean? But I felt, even though I didn't have children at that time, I felt the overwhelm that I think that everybody feels. I went through the roller coaster of emotions, all of the things. And I honestly felt like I was working a lot at the time, and I felt like I just had no time or no energy. And I feel like I'm not alone there. Probably every woman that goes through it feels like they have no time or no energy. So do you have any suggestions on like some simple ways that we can remain on track, even though we feel like we have no time, we're totally overwhelmed, we have no energy? Because I am like totally plugged into what you and Miranda are saying right now. And I totally agree. Had I, even though I didn't have kids and some of the things that many women are dealing with now going through a divorce, had I focused on my health and actually ate and didn't drink so much, like I feel like I would have maybe made better decisions at that time. I would have been able to be a little bit less crazy and you know what I mean? And my reactions may have been a little bit more in line with who I actually am versus who I became at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like definitely like decision fatigue and trauma all happening at the same time. So in my space, I call these anchors. And women, anyone can use them, but the human mind responds really, really well to repetition. Our bodies do as well. So if you're getting up at the same time, going to bed at the same time, eating similar meals, that kind of thing. So it really can be very simple. Everybody I work with is busy. Everybody in my circle, you guys included, are busy. We're high functioning people. And I don't really come across that many women who aren't, honestly. We all are. So we need to set up some anchors, and they could be as simple as like the protein smoothie you make first thing in the morning for breakfast. You always have it. Your body is going to get used to it. Your mind is going to get used to it. Maybe midday, it's a 15-minute walk. And then in the evening, it's just turning off screens 2 hours before bed. It doesn't have to be these huge, because women want to think it's like this overwhelming thing. You have to meal prep, and you need a fitness plan, and you need, you don't need all of that stuff right now, especially when your mind is going crazy. We just need anchors, and kids need anchors too. Kids need that, like, the same schedule. They do better, when you put your baby to bed at the same time, the baby wakes up a lot. Adults, we need that too. We just forget that we need that. And that's where we start to feel so chaotic, is like we have no anchors. We're just waking up. It's like, what are we making for breakfast today? What am I wearing today? I mean, it could be as simple as just choosing your clothes the day before, setting them out. And so when you get up to get dressed and the kids are all running around crazy, you know exactly what you're going to put on for the day to wear to work. Those are going to and if you compound that over time, you have all of these little anchors that, like, when you start to feel chaotic or work goes sideways, by the end of the day, you're just like, no, I do this at night. I'm shutting everything else off, and I have my anchor to ground me. It's just like, everybody talks about touching grass. It's the same. It's the same thing. We just need to ground ourselves. 3 points of the day is what I like a AM, a midday, and a PM grounding. And that can be whatever, food related, exercise related, or just as simple as like maybe you just watch a little show that brings you joy at the end of the day. Like if I'm having a rough time in my life, I like Friends and I like Schitt's Creek. And those are like,
I love that show.
I'm a new girl, but
exactly.
So thing. I watched it last night, and okay, I love what you said about anchor. I call them non-negotiables. These are the things, and I have a mind, a body, and a soul category. So like you try and pull kind of like your AMP, points of the day, try and pull that. And I love when people are all doing the same thing in different ways. Like I absolutely love that, because everyone's brain works differently. Yeah. And so I wanted to say that. Second, the survival mode is like the number one thing that's what we're doing, right? All these women, we're all busy. We're all in survival mode. And so when you said that repetition, and I've only recently learned this in my life, how important being disciplined is, and how there's actually freedom on the other side of discipline. But when you have complex trauma, maybe not even, but for me, it was complex trauma of all of these thoughts and all of these ideas and all of these things. That's scary. It's not safe to be repetitious. It's not safe to do the same thing every day, because it has to be extreme. It has to be, it has to go, that's why we do these crazy diets or the crazy things that we do. We have to extreme. So the repetition, talk to me about what you run into with women, because when I work with women, there's a lack of safety under there. So I talk to them the same way I would like someone that has an addiction. The same thing as a coping mechanism, right? So what is the deal? I tend to drink when I get stressed. I tend to overeat. Whatever it is, instead of sometimes focusing on what we should be doing, sometimes we have to focus on, okay, why can't we do that? Why can't you have a shake every day? Why? Because I don't know how, you probably hear it all the time. Oh, I don't have time for that, or I'm too busy, or that's too difficult, or like the million excuses that are really just, this doesn't feel safe to me. So how often do you deal with that, and what are your tips? Because I think so many women know what to do, but it's the implementation, it's the daily repetition of it that is the real struggle.
No, you're spot on. It's called negativity bias, and it starts in infancy. So we start to recognize facial cues of our parents, and when they're positive, we start to do positive behaviors. That's why, like, they tell you not to laugh at your kids when they, say a bad word or whatever, because they like to see you happy. And we do that. We internalize it. It's a survival technique. So, like, if you are finding fear in repetition, or your brain, I'm like, can we just start the day with the same shake you always make? And your brain is like, no, there's no way I can do that. We're talking about a psychological situation that, like, whatever reason that used to keep you safe. And you don't need that anymore. You have to break up with that. But it's hard. That's why, like, everybody thinks that fitness is workouts and protein, but it really isn't. It's breaking up with these behavioral patterns that used to keep us safe. For me, it was also drinking. I used to drink a lot, way too much. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment with myself. It was really about making myself uncomfortable. I quit drinking for an entire year because I needed to reframe my relationship with it. And sometimes we have to get extreme. And sometimes we can do it in a little bit more of a progressive capacity. Like, if we're building out meal plans, it doesn't have to be all 3 meals. It could be 1. And then, but I think there's a part of us that thrives and loves living in chaos, even though it's making our lives harder. And once we start recognizing that too, and I have a hard time with it. I'm busy. I come from a restaurant background. I like being busy. When I have downtime, my brain starts to do weird stuff. I know it's a problem, but I can see it now. I didn't recognize that before. So for me, it was easier to just live in chaos, and calming down enough to sit with yourself and be like, one, you also have to recognize that you've been causing a lot of problems for yourself the whole time.
Good point.
You have been allowing it. And that's hard. That's a really hard thing to do.
That's the crux of like what I do is like not victim shaming, not blaming you, but like me, I was in an unhealthy, very toxic marriage for 10 years, but guess who stayed there? Guess who continued the cycle? Guess who enabled it? And it doesn't have to be abuse, just to be anything that you do in life. If you enable it, if you have a friend that chips at you, or someone that makes you, and you just put up with it, and you stay there and you have the same conversation over and over and over again, you are perpetuating it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of, I think there's maybe a lot of shame. And then instead of being like, hey, I can have this come to Jesus moment and stop this and do it differently, we just like double down and do it and live that comfortably uncomfortable life in perpetuity.
Yeah, we like expected outcomes. So if you can be chaotic and you know that it's going to lead to more stress, or let's say you need to eat a certain way to lose 10 pounds that you want to lose, but the expected outcome is not losing the 10 pounds, and you're comfortable doing the things that have kept you 10 pounds heavier, that's really hard to break up with. It's almost, you have to want that. We're not looking at our future selves. You have to act like the person who's 10 pounds lighter while you're 10 pounds heavier. It's hard as hell. It's really, really hard.
You're right. Like, we have to show up as that person, but I think you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And you have to say, I want, and you know what? I want better for myself. And earlier you were talking about, I was talking about undereating and you mentioned overeating. And it's still neglect. You're still neglecting yourself. There's something in there that's like, I don't deserve to have this body. I don't deserve to look that good. I know for me, I'm finally in the last year able to keep that 10 pounds off. But I have been doing that on and off for 20 years because I get it off and then I'm like, oh, this is uncomfortable. I don't know that I can sustain this, or I don't want to, or whatever. And then it's just constant yo-yo. And that, I think, really is what wreaks havoc on women as we get in our 40s and 50s, is that it's that not so much that it's that time, but it's that we've been doing this for so many years.
Yeah. Can we just dive into you had mentioned, Erin, that in your past, there was a point where you had to come to Jesus with yourself and you were like, hey, I just can't keep going in this direction. Like I assume, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that you realized that it was just destructive behavior. How did you stop? Because you had mentioned, you were probably drinking too much and then you had that moment and then you took a year off. That sounds like incredibly hard to do.
It was really hard. So I hired professional support. Super important. I got a therapist and I got a coach to hold me accountable. I wanted it, but I knew that by myself, I wasn't going to be able to override these coping mechanisms that I had held for so long. Did I know that I was going to be not drinking for a year? No, but that just came as a part of this process. And so, yeah, it was really about getting a support system and a support team in place and recognizing that it was both physical and mental. I needed therapy for my mental health and I needed a fitness coach for my physical health. And together, it was incredible.
What, if you can remember off the top of your head, is there anything that sticks out that was a drastic positive change, in your body, in your way of thinking, in the way that you communicated with others, that you noticed pretty quickly?
Yeah, the self-accountability piece is huge. I mean, everything morphed for me that year. I ate a meal plan. I competed in bodybuilding that year, so it was very rigid. But it put me in face to face. I call it the truth mirror with all of the negative things that had been manifesting in my life. I was into exercise before, but I was over drinking. So I was never going to get the results I wanted because I was inflamed and taking in all these calories. And I had been is it my hormones? Is it work? Is it stress? And it's yeah, it could have been some of those things, but really it's the fact that you've been drinking way too much. So, as soon as you stop those behaviors, you kind of get immediate results, but you have to get to the point where you're okay to stop those. And once you see, 3 weeks in or 4 weeks in, the inflammation started coming down, weight started coming down. I was sleeping better. I had less brain fog. I was saving money because I wasn't buying bottles of wine or going to the bars every night. And so all of these things start compounding. I mean, within the first couple of weeks, and you're like, oh, I mean, this could get so much better if I just keep repeating this process over time. And, here I am 7-8 years later, continuing to repeat the process and continuing to build. And that, I mean, I still do this. I still hire coaches. I still look for accountability and support. I still want to, that's why I like being in these rooms, because I want to be around more strong, badass women. And that's really important to me for growth. And that happened just by deciding that I was going to change and taking the appropriate action, both financially and through my actions to get there.
Well, it really is. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. This is going to include you too. Do you feel like those positive side effects that you almost immediately started to experience incentivized you personally to keep going? And Miranda, I would like your take on that one too.
Yeah, it's like, it's the opposite of the negative response. You start seeing, like, for so long, I wanted to feel better in my skin. I wanted to have more mental clarity. I wanted to get rid of my anxiety or lower my anxiety. And once that started happening, it's like you're swaying that bias in the other direction, and you start to believe that you can and you will, and that all of these things that you thought maybe weren't possible for you actually are possible if you just continue to focus on, it's one day at a time. With sobriety, it's always one day at a time. You're sober today. And so it's the same thing with changing your coping mechanisms. Like, I'm just going to change this today and then try to one up yourself the next day. But yeah.
Well, I think it really is that, like, it's use that word. I can't remember what you said, but it's simple. It's not easy necessarily, but it's really simple. Like, it's really that simple. You just do these things, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then it really does happen that way. But it's hard. I don't know if it's hard to believe or it's hard to accept. But I some days, that V8 moment that I was just like, oh, you mean I just have to do this? But I think what really snapped it for me was more of a spiritual component. Like, I really touched into, and that's my whole personal journey and story, but I really got to the bottom of, like, this is something that I should honor and revere. Like, I was given this body, and I don't know how much time I have here. And yeah, my kids are a huge part of that too. But before I go to the kids, I got to go with me. Do I care about myself? Am I honoring this body that I was given? And whether you call that God, source, universe, love, this love, if I'm made of love, am I showing up as if I'm made of love? Am I fueling myself as I would if I loved myself? And then for some moms who can't tap into me, you can go to your kid. Would you want your kid to eat like this? Would you want your kid to feel like this? Would you want your kid to, how would you want them to do it? Sometimes that's the turning point, but it feels overwhelming, but it's pretty simple when you get down to it.
Yeah. I like that you we continue to bring the kids into it, because they're a really big part of our lives, right? And we probably don't give them enough credit for how much they actually know and how much they watch us, right? And mimic us. Erin, in your experience, do you find that the women that you're working with had some bad habits that they learned in their childhood from their parents?
Absolutely. Yeah. Food behaviors or food shaming, body shaming, especially as, Gen X, millennial, elder millennial ladies. We came from thin culture. We came from parents who did not hold back on talking about our bodies. And so, yeah, absolutely. Like, we're unpacking this in our 40s. That's a lot of the work that I do. And women don't recognize that either. Again, they come to me for fat loss and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was going to be talking to you about my mom. But and it's like, I mean, some of them still have this dynamic with their parents to this day where they're afraid to eat in front of them, or they're afraid to talk about what they're doing in front of them. It's like, it runs deep. I mean, a lot of those things, the way that we handle money also comes from like we were mirrored as kids. That's something that I've worked on for a long time, because I did not have a good support system or like good mentors with my parents when it came to financial resources or fitness, health resources. And so, yeah, you have to break up with a lot of things that are deep and hard.
Well, and also to add on to that, there's the struggle. Like, if you just didn't know, you don't know what you don't know. But then there are some of us who are like, damn it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be responsible. That try to do things and really earnestly are. Like, I've been in the gym for 25 years. Like, I'm really been trying, but something's not working. And that is where I think that people fall in those categories, I think. But when we get into really like what is not working or what's underneath there, that's so unconscious, that it always comes from our childhood. And I had a conversation with someone in their 60s the other day, and we were talking about the diet culture. We were talking about these women in their 40s. My cousin and I were talking about, growing up watching our moms count points.
Yes, Weight Watchers.
Growing up watching that culture,
Jenny
I'm trying this thing, I'm taking this thing, I'm doing this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. That's how I've spent the last so many years. And I was talking to someone in her 60s and she was like, can I ask you a question? And I go, what? She was, did you have this type of like, you've made a lot of comments. She didn't understand it. She didn't like, she's like, oh, I didn't grow up. And so it hit me when you said that. She's like, I guess my mom and I never really talked about, we just ate food. And then we did our things. We didn't really talk about the weight or the calories or the counting, or I'm so unfamiliar with that. And I was like, whoa, generationally, I don't even think I've realized how different we are.
Right. So I wonder like when that shifted, and maybe y'all know that. I don't know that, but I wonder when that shifted and when and why.
When the food started getting crappier, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point. Because that, I'm sure your body metabolizes chemicals a little bit differently than real food, right, Erin? Maybe we should get into that.
Definitely food quality coming down, and probably more women going to work. Not that that's a bad thing, but like if we're talking about
changes.
Yeah, we're talking about people who are born or raised in like the 50s and 60s. Maybe more often they had a parent at home cooking for them. And if there's two parents working, you're busy running through drive-thrus or ordering DoorDash or whatever the case may be. So there's some convenience there. And then there's like, there's no shame in that game. We have to do what we have to do. But yeah, I think that there was a huge shift from the moms cooking at home all day, and they might not have been happy. So we want everyone to be happy and in the workplace, but also the convenience food that goes with it.
Well, then also if you're a busy mom and then now you're already working, or maybe you weren't before, or I wasn't before my divorce, and now I am working. And so now I have to feed all these kids. And now they help me out. But before they were all really young. And so we did a lot of Little Caesars $5 pizzas. We did a lot of drive-through. We did a lot of like, let's just stay alive. Yeah. But you don't realize the effects of that. And then your body kind of gets trained to that and used to that. And then, as you probably deal with, Erin, with so many of your clients, there's the guilt. Oh. And I have guilt about the fact that, why do you keep buying the things then? That kind of thing. Like me too. Like I was like, quit eating crap, quit buying crap. That kind of cycle.
But you hit on something really important. And I think that women going through the divorce process, finances are almost always, whenever I talk with women, a huge, huge thing. That's usually the first conversation that we have if I happen to, talk with somebody that's beginning to get through it. And, I handle the real estate part of things, but that always ties into finances. And so usually budgets are tight. Oftentimes they're trying to change jobs, maybe get a different job that's higher paying or more hours or something like that. So Erin, any tips on how we can, without overwhelming ourselves, hopefully avoid the more processed, easier foods and try to turn our diet more to the whole foods that you and I both know our body does much better with?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, simple prep is really so effective. It doesn't have to be this elaborate Pinterest style meal prep. It can be chicken breast with some seasoning in a crock pot that you leave on when you go to work. And then when you get home, it's ready to go, or soups or those kinds of things. Like I have plenty of recipes if anybody's watching and needs them that are simple for all of my clients are moms and busy and you like business owners or professionals. They don't have time either. But what we're doing there is we're swapping a small chunk of time for a lot of time. And really, when we're looking at it, it's at least cost neutral. And like in most capacities, we can, if we're going through drive-thrus or paying DoorDash, we can put chicken breast in a crock pot, buy pre-bagged veggies that you just throw in the microwave that you don't have to chop up. There's nothing wrong with that. Or frozen fruit to throw into a smoothie to make it just easier on yourself. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to have meals, or something I really like for my moms, especially with younger kids, is to just map out dinners for the week, including a meal out if you do that. Like Monday's taco night and Tuesday is burgers, and like, because that way you just know you're going home, because I know you all have gotten home from work at the end of the day and you're like, I know I need to make dinner, but I don't want to make dinner. I'm exhausted. I don't know what to make. I don't feel like doing any of this. And this is where we're making bad decisions or making decisions that don't feel good to us or how we want to feed our kids. So instead, it's like all of this stuff is just ready. This is what we do every week where Matt, my husband, and I will pre-cook meat. So we have meat for the entire week.
That's a big one.
Huge. And then we can it takes us about 5 or 10 minutes to heat up a dinner or make a big salad because the meat is already done.
It's already there. And you said earlier, decision fatigue.
Yeah.
So now it's not, we're trading energy for it's not just about money. It's currency of energy and time, and then not having guilt about it, and then having the free brain to think about something else. I don't know how many times I don't want to say neglected my kids, but I haven't been in tune when I come home about what they're going through, what's happening, especially during my divorce, because I was either maybe mad at their dad or upset about money or trying to plan dinner. And then after dinner, we get ready and go to bed. And I didn't even talk to them, that kind of stuff. You're really saving so much more than money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the way that your body processes the food is probably affecting your output as well, right? Does that affect sleep when you eat a lot of processed foods?
Massively. I mean, it's going to trigger gut health issues, which is going to affect everything: immune health, inflammation, sleep, hormones. If we're not having enough fiber or whole food vegetables in our system, we're a lot of people are walking around just nutritionally depleted, where we're malnourished and we don't know. It doesn't mean that you're not consuming enough calories, because you could not eat all day and drink a bunch of wine at night. You have enough calories in your system. Yeah.
Right.
And this people don't understand. It's yeah, I'm not eating, I'm not losing weight, but you're consuming enough calories. And when we're talking about especially 40s, we're talking about perimenopause years. So our hormones are already weird. Our brain fog is already weird. Our sleep is already weird. And yeah, the foods we're putting into our body are the first. That's what I always look at first. I do hormonal testing now, and women are like, should I test my hormones? I'm like, no, we're going to look at your nutrition first. How much protein are you getting? How much fiber? How much of that is coming from ultra processed foods? That's what we need to start shifting, because you're going to have hormonal instability if you're skipping meals. Because that's another thing I see. Women get busy. They don't eat lunch. They're just grabbing a protein shake or a latte or something like that. And that is all wreaking havoc on your metabolic health, your digestional health, your gut microbiome, all the things that actually are going to move the needle for your health long term.
Is there anything, and I learned so much from Erin, and I go down rabbit holes when I learn stuff from Erin. But I've recently started to really pay attention to gut health and how it's just the be all end all, pretty much. It seems with the rabbit hole that I've jumped down. Is there any quick changes that we can make in our daily routine that would support gut health a bit better than what we're doing? Obviously, cutting down alcohol, like we've talked about here. But for example, I started eating kimchi.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel better. I feel like my skin is better. This has literally been 10 days, guys. I feel like my skin is better. I feel like my attitude is better. And that's the only real shift that I have made. And I'm like, can kimchi really be that magical?
Yeah. Fermented foods, yogurt, beans, eating more beans. Fiber is so huge.
Fiber.
I say 25 grams of fiber, but make it easy on yourself and just eat beans for breakfast, eat beans for a one meal a day. We cook beans. We live in Mexico, so it's easy. But it's, you don't have to do beans. You can do veggies.
You know what I'm obsessed with right now? Obsessed. And I've had it for 6 months. Chia seeds, seed pudding every single day. So much fiber, no issue. Yeah, so good.
Yep, chia is a good one. I put chia on my yogurt every day. So
good.
But is it just a little kimchi sprinkle?
Yeah, I soak it in almond milk. You get it, they have it at Nectar. So that's how I got into it. And then I put dates in it. Dates, another thing that I never tried before. That's fiber. And I eat those every day now. But you're saying, sometimes you try one thing you've never thought of, or chia seeds just look gross. I'm like, wow, I actually love this. And it's really, really good for me. So much so that I think that Erin, you probably can talk to this, that I'm going to be in trouble. This is too good.
Like you eat too many cheese.
Yeah, like I put, like, or dates or whatever, or fruit. I start to go, this is too much. This is too good. And I'm like, no, I've just rewired my brain for sugar a little bit.
No, it sounds like you're making great choices, and there's nothing wrong. Like, you should be eating fruit. I don't know where we got off that weird.
It's another one of those things.
Yeah.
Fruit's not bad. Fruit is great for you.
I know.
No.
But it's weird how those things are cemented in, that all the stuff that we were told.
Yeah. Yeah. I always have heard about the sugar, but then I jumped down that rabbit hole too. And Erin, please correct me if this is inaccurate, but that's more like if it's juice, if you're eating the actual fiber of the fruit and everything, it kind of like offsets the sugar or something like that. I don't know. I'm no scientist.
Yeah. So if you're eating a piece of fruit versus like having orange juice, having an orange versus having orange juice, you're going to get more nutritional benefit from the actual piece of fruit than juicing it. But you can still get it. Like if you throw berries and chia into a smoothie, you're still getting some of that. It's going to break down some of the fiber a little bit. But I think what we have to understand too is that carbs are really, really good for our energy levels, our training capacity, our thyroid health. And what I see generally is like when women cut carbs, we're then this is what a catalyst to autoimmune, like Hashimoto's thyroid conditions, by depleting ourselves of macronutrients that we actually need to thrive and live a healthy life. So yeah, I mean, you could do a little juice, but if you can eat the fruit portion of it, it also helps support natural GLP-1. So everybody's like buzzing on GLP-1s and food noise and all this. You can actually support that through high protein and high fiber in your diet and not have to use pharmaceuticals to control your appetite.
It's really awesome. Just take the processed sugar out and eat more fruit.
Yeah. And
I got a sweet tooth. It's never going to go away.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say, replaces the chocolate, right, Miranda?
Or a little bit of both. But yeah, like I just have way, way more fruit. And then when I go to have, because I'm a pastry. So when I go to have one, I just want a bite or one. I don't want everything because I've gotten enough sweetness from fruit all day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Makes sense. Well, I have one last question, Miranda. I don't know if you want to go first before me, if you have anything else that you'd like to ask Erin, but I've just got one more question for her.
No, I would love to have a whole nother conversation about how gut health is mental health and the connection between your nervous system and like the whole, which kind of ties into how we started in mind, body, soul. But really, I've dived into that the last few years about that, how it really is all one thing.
Love that. I would love to have another conversation. Erin, we'd love to invite you to come back on sometime in the future so that we can talk through that. I'm extremely interested in that, and I'd love to hear you guys have that conversation. But my last thing is, and this puts you on the spot a little bit, I apologize, but if you had to, like, say you had somebody in front of you that is dealing with divorce, just kind of like just in the middle of it, and is feeling all the things and the overwhelm and the big changes, change in household, possible job, all of that stuff. What are the top 3 pieces of advice that you can give to us as women that would really help them in that situation?
Prioritize sleep is absolutely number one. Get sleep when you can, and don't go to the gym at 5 a.m. if you are going to compromise your sleep. That's definitely number one. Number 2 is high protein, high fiber, balanced diet. Ditch the processed foods. And number 3 would be give up the alcohol until your nervous system is back to baseline, because it's not going to do you any favors. And I'm speaking from experience. So I drank a lot when I left. I haven't been divorced, but I was engaged, and that ended, and it was very abusive. And I drank a lot to cope after that, but it did not help. It made things worse. It helped when I was drinking, but then the next day I woke up chronically depressed, chronically anxious. So the best thing I did was giving up alcohol for a short period of time. And now I can enjoy it a couple of weeks. It's good to go.
And you shared that you had to reframe. So it sounds like you just have a much better relationship with it at this point. And you really probably needed to go through what you went through to get here.
I did. It was a crutch for me. I was leaning on it too much. And so that's why it had to go, because I needed to go through all of my life events. I needed to feel my feels without the alcohol first, and then decide how I was going to allow it. I thought I wasn't ever going to drink again, but I realized I can handle it, and I can have 2 on Friday night, date night, and not need to drink at all for the rest of the week. And it's been great.
I love that, because that's another one of those extreme things that we feel like sometimes. I'm not saying you shouldn't if you have an issue of substance, but it's really just like I'm going to never drink again. And I'm like, for me, I went through the same process. So I was just reframing why.
Yeah.
When I was able to say, I don't need it to depend on, or because I'm stressed or I'm tired, I can do it just as a choice. I drink way less than I ever have before, because it's like you said, Katie, reframing that relationship. You don't have to be an alcoholic to have a dependency on alcohol. So really just looking at it, really being honest with yourself and asking yourself why. It's just like chocolate or sugar. Like, if I'm going to have this dessert and enjoy it, I'm going to have it and enjoy it with no guilt. But am I doing it because I'm trying to fill some void? That's where we get in trouble, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. And my last thought is something that I learned a long time ago from caregivers and society and growing up, was you took a drink or had a drink to relax. Like, I'm going to relax at the end of the day. This is going to unwind me. Yeah. And I learned that it does the total opposite.
It does. Yep.
So there you have it. Things that we have learned that are not facts that we need to unlearn.
Well, and words matter. I had to stop saying I need a drink, even as a joke, because I used to say that all the time.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, how many jokes do we see, memes and things like that, with like the big giant glass of wine and the mom saying
mommy's juice or whatever.
Yeah. Or the mom saying, I just have one. And it's like a freaking bucket. You know what I mean? I mean, it's funny, haha, but not really.
Not really.
No. Oh, guys, this was such an amazing talk. Thank you very, very much. If you guys love Erin as much as I love Erin, then you need to check her out. She has her very own podcast. She is live, like for reals live, on Mom Nation USA. That's our handle. She's on YouTube. She's on Facebook. She is in the Mom Nation Arizona Facebook group every Tuesday. And her show is called Energy Shift with Erin. And this girl gets right into the crux of it, guys. She is totally vulnerable, which I love about her. She meets people where they're at. She speaks to them like humans, not a drill sergeant like some other coaches might. If you've ever experienced that in your past, that is not our Erin. So thank you so very, very much for being a part of us, for being a part of the Divorce Defenders, Mom Nation, all the things. We love you, and we really appreciate you having you here.
Love you back, and thank you for having me as always.
Of course. And thank you to my fearless co-host, Miss Miranda, for being here with us today. Guys, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, if you want to check out any of our previous episodes, Miranda and I have several under our belt now for our divorced mamas or divorcing mamas, or our mamas that are thinking about going through it. Check us out on YouTube. It is at Mom Nation USA. That's our handle. Scroll down just a little ways. You might just scroll past Energy Shift, that playlist, while you're there, so you can catch us both. And for Miranda and I, you are looking for Untying the Knot in blue on your favorite podcast platform. Do a quick search for Mom Nation Talk Radio. There you'll find us. Like, download, click the notification bell, follow us, all the things. You'll never miss a beat. We'll see you next month. Bye, guys.
Feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or disconnected from yourself? Miranda Ray offers one-on-one private sessions designed to help you reconnect with yourself. Gain tools for emotional healing, build confidence, and step into your power with compassionate guidance every step of the way. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve to feel good again. Let Miranda help you get there. Take the first step toward a brighter, more balanced you. Reach out to Miranda now.